Yeah, it does get on you pretty quick. And with the realization that we're a week away from things really getting going, it's kind of exciting.
Well, I'm thinking this morning, a lot of people wish it would start now, because if we started now, maybe we would avoid these injuries that are cropping up. 7 days out. And I think, Ray, now that we have lost another closer to the IL, I think we're down to like maybe a dozen actual closers. And that may even be overrating the number. But if you missed it this morning, the Atlanta Braves came out, and Raciel Iglesias will start the season on the IL. Ray, they say it's minor. It's a shoulder injury, by the way. I don't think it's minor. A guy who's been closing for a decade, a guy who's got a shoulder, guy who's starting the season on the IL. I don't consider this minor with Raciel Iglesias.
Yeah, the report came out, and there were like 18 people that reported it at the exact same time with no details. So we don't know anything other than it's a low-grade shoulder issue, and he's not going to throw for a week or so. We have no idea at all beyond that. Hopefully, we'll get some clarification soon, like today, and I assume we will. For now, I mean, we're guessing over at fantasyguru.com. I'm busy on the keyboard and everything this morning, updating the closer grid and updating the rankings. And I dropped Iglesias to 10th at RP because I don't know. I mean, in the way that the way the market is, and I'll talk about this with my my appetizer today. The way the market is, you get 25 saves, you're probably still a top 10 guy. So it's tough to know what to do with Iglesias at this point. If you wanted to fade him and avoid him, if you had a draft coming up here because you're concerned, I'm not going to try to talk you out of that right now. But we certainly need more data, more definitive data about what he's actually dealing with.
Yeah, I think he's going to plummet in drafts just because of that IL designation. You drop him to 10th, and that's fine. Other people may have him 12th or 8th, whatever it may be, because we are all guessing. Like you said, we're kind of guessing here. To me, I don't bother with these guys. It's like, forget it. Adios. And I was never drafting Iglesias anyway. That's much too early for me to get involved in the reliever game. But now it just makes it an easy fade. The thing that's upsetting is now other people are going to fade him too. And I was hoping they'd take Raciel Iglesias. I just think they're a waste of time. All these guys, yeah, there can be hits. There can be Josh haters, absolutely. But I don't think the risk is worth that reward. There are so many other ways. Like in most leagues, you don't even need relievers, really. You could go with just 9 starters. Like we always say you got to have relievers. You don't. You don't have to have relievers. You can totally punt it. That's what you can do. And I never hear anybody say that, Ray. Like the position is such a mess. And we're saying, it's crap and get these big arms. Why don't we ever hear just go with 9 starting pitchers and completely pump the saves, at least early on? Why don't we ever hear that as the strategy to go with for relievers?
I don't know. And, can I dive into my appetizer since it's all
go ahead. It'll lead right into it. Take it away.
Yeah. Look, and this is not, I have no vendetta against people or scoring systems or whatever, but I continue to say this every time we get a big ticket item go down here at this position. I can't fathom, legitimately, I can't understand why we are so pig-headed in the fantasy space that we keep using saves. It's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. It's a waste of everyone's time. It's a waste of everyone's draft capital, to your point, Kyle. It's an utter waste. Complete 100% total waste. Ray, you're overreacting. I'm not overreacting. It's not just Edwin Diaz going down for the season with the knee issue. It's not just the concerns now with Raciel Iglesias. If you look at in 2015, I got an article, should we remove saves over at fantasyguru.com. In 2015, there were 21 pitchers who had 30 saves. So if you're in a 10-team league, theoretically, everyone had 2, right? Okay. What was that number in 2021?
9. Saves?
Oh, yeah, 9. 9 guys. What was it last year, Kyle?
6.
Yeah, it was 10. Okay. So the last 2 years, we don't even have what we had in 2015. I didn't go back to 2002. It's 2015. Okay. Further, let's go to the 20 save mark. 2015, it was 28. Then it was 22 in 2019. We had COVID. Then it was 19 in 2021. It was 18 last year. We had a 7-year low last year in 20 save guys. Okay. What happened on the other end? Well, let's look at the other end of things. In the save zone, 5 to 9. which is the middle reliever that you take for ratios and strikeouts. And there were 10 guys in 2017 that had 5 to 9 saves in baseball. 2 years ago, it was 33. Last year, it was 29. So we have a 300% increase in the guys that are in the 5 to 9 zone because everyone's getting saves, whether it's injury or matchup based or whatever it might be. We have a 50% reduction in the 30 save guys since 2015. Now we're talking about injuries. You mentioned how many teams are comfortable with where they're at, closer wise. I updated the closer grid earlier today. Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have 20 teams in red.
Okay. So 10 and 10 are comfortable, I guess.
10 are comfortable, 20 in red. Like, what are we doing? I don't understand what's happening. I don't understand the desire to do this. The data is clear. The elite guys don't happen anymore. The data is clear. Everyone's getting saves now. The uncertainty of randomly going to the waiver wire. We waste more money in FAB every year on relievers than we do any other position because we're all hunting for the guy. Who's the next guy? We think it's this guy. You go and spend 20% of your budget. Someone else grabs the other guy for 3%. Guess what? The 3% guy is the one that gets the 18 saves. It's nonsensical. It's nonsensical that we continue to use saves. And because of that, to your point that you started this with, because of that, the data is irrefutably saying it's dumb to do this. I don't understand why anyone in the world takes a closer in the 3rd or 4th round. That is the dumbest thing you possibly could do. It is stupid.
Yeah. I would agree with you much more on that point than on the point of getting rid of saves. I would. Stolen bases kind of gone the same way. There's nobody getting 40 steals anymore. We used to get a lot of guys getting 40 steals, 30 steals even. We used to get that. We don't anymore. Maybe it'll change this year. We hope. We're praying it will. But I don't hear anybody wanting to get rid of stolen bases. I mean, even when it was something we emphasized, nobody said, oh, we can't find these. Let's get rid of them. Because that's really what we're saying, right? We can't find the saves, so let's get rid of them. The hold saying, because I know that's you and many others have pushed that. Then we're drafting middle relievers. We're using middle relievers. I don't care about those guys. I'm sorry. Getting a hold in the 5th inning, getting a hold in the 6th inning. You didn't do anything. I'm not going to give you credit for that. I'm not going to equalize that. A hold in the 6th inning is worth a hold in the 8th inning. They're the same thing. Are you kidding me? So we're turning every reliever. We're just saying they're all blah because they all get holds in. There are guys who always get the 8th inning. They should be valuable. What about the guys who get the 6th inning and get holds? Should they be valuable? Should they be useful?
Well, what if we give half a point for a hold and a full point?
Oh, that just confuses it. I think that's just confusing. It makes it more difficult. We're always talking about getting people into this game. That makes it more difficult, I think.
Well, we also, and I'm like looking back at the labor draft I did a couple of years, 15-team mixed league. My 25th round pick is Danny Jimenez, and watch him lead the A's in saves. It's going to happen. Watch. My 28th round pick was AJ Minter. So now I potentially could get 5 saves extra, 10 saves extra, 15 saves extra. I mean, I love AJ Minter. I've talked about him all offseason, written about him, but there was no insight that led me to draft him in the 28th round to give me an advantage over an opponent.
That, Ray. I wouldn't say that. I think you and I have both for years now gone with big 8th inning guys because that's the strategy. That's the insight. It's not investing in somebody who today is the closer. Again, investing. I'm not saying you don't draft guys who are the closer, but it's the investment, like Ray's talking about, 3rd round, 4th round, 5th round, all this silliness of investing. You can get those guys, by all means, draft the guys, but Ray, you and I have always kind of said, give me one closer, and then I'll go get big arms. I'll get 8th inning guys. I'll get fireballers. I'll get guys who, logically, if the guy ahead of them goes down with an injury, they move up. To me, what you're saying, Ray, is right, that saves, where can you find them? It's a crapshoot. But I just disagree that we need to eliminate them. I just think we change how we should draft. And to me, this is not a difficult change for people, but we see it in every single draft we're a part of, Ray. People, the BSN draft coming up here in about 2 hours or so. I think we saw a closer in like the middle of the 3rd round, Clase. I mean, that's just stupid. And I'm saying it before the injury. It's just stupid. And Ray, Was he worth maybe a third or fourth round pick last year? He may have been. He may have been that good. He was that dominant as a closer. But pulling those off back to back, that's another part of your argument. Guys don't do that. It's very rare to have great back to back closer seasons. I'm more right in line with you on the investment. You and I both agree on that. Just don't invest in these guys. And then I don't think we have a problem. It's almost like the only people who have a problem, Ray, are the people who insist on drafting these guys earlier. They're the ones setting themselves up for failure and anger, I think, in a season.
Yeah, and we see this all over the place. We see it every year all over the place. And we hear, I got to get my lockdown closer.
Yeah.
They don't exist. All right? Let's just be honest about this. They don't exist because of variances in performance, because of choices by managers, because of game situations, because of injury. They don't exist. The last 3 full seasons, take out 2020, 2019, 21, and 22. How many guys have 20 saves each year? So the last 3 full seasons, how many guys have 20 saves each year? What do you think, Kyle?
It's like 3, isn't it?
4 guys.
Yeah, 4 guys.
20 saves. Not 40, not 30, 20 saves. How many guys have 30 saves in the last 3 full seasons of 2019, 21, and 22?
2.
Yep, 2. Josh Hader, Kenley Jansen. That's it. That is it. Not Edwin Diaz, not Clase, not Iglesias. That's it. So this idea that you're getting, I got to get my guy. There's no such thing. And again, the data is irrefutable. It's not 1 year, 2 years. It's 5, 6, 7. It's the way the game is played. Now, I will push back a little bit on you, Kyle, with this, because I thought of something where you were speaking there. You don't want to make all relievers kind of the same. And I get that point. And you're right. A hold in the 7th inning. All right. I get your point. But in football, all kickers are the same. They're all the same. And you can make a pretty strong case that most defenses are pretty much the same too. So we already play in football with the same, at least the kicker spot. You'll give me that. Why can't we do something similar in baseball where you have more categories, where you have more positions? What's the main difference?
I would say for kickers, the role is locked. We know who the kicker is, barring an injury. It's locked. And we know, you say they're all the same, and I treat them that way, but there are people who draft guys in domes. There are people who draft kickers because they're on a good offense, whatever that may be. With relievers, we are now, what would that be? Per team, we're talking 7 relievers. So we've gone to a 210-man field of players that we're now looking at. Honestly, you'd eliminate 105 of those. Who cares? But we're still talking about 100 relievers on the board, Ray, that are going to be worth drafting. And so you've got all these guys that can't be drafted. Our rosters aren't big enough. So you'll end up with like 50 dudes on the waiver wire, and every week that will be your race. Every week that will be, who's got more games this week? Oh, this team has a 7-game week. Let's go get 2 of their relievers who are going to get me holds in the 7th inning. Like I'm not interested in that. I think the holds thing, I am in leagues that count holds, but they are separate categories. And that's a points league. And in that league, I think we do 5 points for a save and 2 for a hold. So we've considered holds to be 40% of what a save is. You're kind of arguing that's ludicrous. I've gotten 0 pushback in that league on the scoring there because at least in that league, everybody's kind of the agreement that, hey, saves are important. Baseball tells us saves aren't important, like who gets them and all that. It's just a matter of happenstance. I don't disagree with that, but I don't understand why we then have stupid moves like what the Mets do. That is an utterly stupid move if you're the New York Mets to sign Edwin Diaz to a 5-year, $100 million deal. I think next year, Josh Hader, isn't he set to be a free agent? I don't care what Josh Hader does this year. I don't care if he wins the NL Cy Young. Do not care. You never pay a guy like Josh Hader or Edwin Diaz $20 million a season and give them 5-6-year deals. Stupidity. Absolute stupidity. I said this when Diaz went down. There you go, Mets. Get your comeuppance. Ray, I love when something happens. I go, that's just stupid. And then immediately it blows up in their face. I loved that. And people, you're rooting for injuries. No, I'm rooting for stupidity to be punished. That's what I'm rooting for. And that happened to the Mets. And anybody who signs Josh Hader, that's going to happen to them. Ray, I'm not going to go to the level of saying it's stupid to draft a reliever early, but I do like to see those punished who make that move that I totally think is a waste of their time, draft cost, investment, all of that. So I applaud this. If people want to go this route, by all means, take it, man. Enjoy the hell out of it. Ray and I will be drafting our closers in the 18th round.
Yeah, and there is something to be said for that. And you're right. You and I have for a long time talked about don't invest too heavily at the closer spot. Take the power arms in the middle relief. If you know one of those guys, one of the three guys you grab is going to get 15 saves, right? It's going to happen, kind of a thing. And really, I try to fix problems that I see. Those are a lot of times the suggestions I make. Mm-hmm. But the truth is, as you pointed out, if people don't want to make changes, and they don't, take advantage of them being dumb. Mm-hmm. Let them take the closer in the third round. It's dumb. It's just a dumb decision. It just is. You're never going to get back that 5x5 offensive player. You're never going to get back that guy that could throw 200 innings. You're not getting that guy. Get the closer. I'll take Danny Jimenez in his 19 saves in the 25th round, right? Like, so I wish we would do it different, because it's so frustrating to me that we're living in the era that doesn't exist anymore. Mm-hmm. We're living in John Franco, Trevor Hoffman, Mariano Rivera. It's not the world anymore. It's not how the game is played anymore. And I'd like to see us change it, which I know you have a little bit of a problem with. You don't think we should necessarily change it just because the last couple of years have changed in the game.
Well, but Bray, I think this trend's going to continue. The trend you're talking about is here. I don't think like this is some random change in 10 years from now. We're back to like closers, like 16 dudes getting 30 saves. I feel like, I guess I feel like we're wanting to change, or people are wanting to change because it's tougher. It's not as easy. That's what I feel like. It's like, okay, yeah, it's tough to find closers. So guess what? I do the work in season. I don't do it on draft day, because that's a crapshoot. I'd much rather be in season picking up guys who I think can close. That's how, again, to me, this isn't a problem. Maybe it's a problem for people who just get burned by it, Ray. I mean, maybe that's the people we hear from who complain about saves. I've never sat there, like, seriously. Yeah, I can't remember any time in the last 5-6 years of playing fantasy baseball and go, oh man, I got so burned in the bullpen. I haven't. I mean, dude, I made a living on Mark Melancon for years. Mark Melancon sucks. But every year you could get him for nothing. Every year. And the Pirates would use him as a closer, and then the Giants. And he wasn't great, but you invested like a 21st round pick in Mark Melancon. So, and I'm not saying this, but I've had screw ups. I've missed guys in the 20th round. Guess what I do? I go out and find them later in the season.
Yeah, but again, we spend so much of our energy each week and our money each week in fab or waiver priority picking up guys that we're just guessing with. Like Emmanuel Clase goes. Emmanuel Clase goes down with an injury.
Wire. But that's any dude you get off the waiver wire. Yeah. If you're a rookie called up, we spend a lot of time on rookies and playing that game.
Those are definitely, rookies and closers are definitely the two spots where we waste the most money. Yeah. No doubt about that. But Emmanuel Clase goes down. Everyone's going to run to the waiver wire. James Karinchak is probably going to be the guy they spend the money on, right? Mm-hmm. What if they decide, because he's struggled a little bit the last 2 weeks and Trevor Stefan has been terrific, that Stefan's going to be the closer? So we'll get the 20% bids on Karinchak. Like I said, we'll get the 4% bids on Stefan, and then Stefan's the guy that emerges. It's not based upon who's more talented. It's based upon our guesstimate of who's getting the ball in the ninth inning. So we have to predict what the manager's going to do, what the team is going to do.
Yeah, but we're always having to guess at what the manager is going to do. I mean, I don't think that's any different from what, I mean, now we've got guys who get skipped starts. We thought they were going to get a 2-start week, and all of a sudden they find out midweek, we're going to give them an extra day off. And again, hey, I'm not saying your idea is terrible, Ray. A lot of people agree with it. They like Solds and that idea. To me, it just opens up a can of worms that doesn't really get me out of bed in the morning. I mean, to me, of all the things that might be wrong with fantasy baseball, the fact that we count saves, to me, ain't one of them. It's just not there for me. I had a couple of routes I could go with the appetizer today. I'm going to stave the one that hit me between the eyes last night. Why I apologize, Ray. I spent 10 minutes watching SportsCenter.
Okay.
Last night, and oh my God. Oh my Lord.
Oh, that bad, huh?
Yeah, NFL draft stuff. Oh, these buffoons. Absolute buffoonery. Anyway, I'm going to save that because the other one actually dovetails on this reliever thing.
Okay.
So we sit here and Kyle's saying, "Oh, I don't take starters. Look at me. I'm Mr. Smart Guy, all that stuff." Okay, so Kyle, who do you want? I knew you would ask that question. So here are the guys that I'm going for. Here are the guys I'm interested in taking. And a lot of these you'll hear other places. Fine with Andres Munoz, Jason Adam, Pete Fairbanks. Pete Fairbanks, Jason Adam in Tampa. I love that combo. I would eat up that combo all day, whether you're in a saves league, a holds league. I love, and it doesn't cost you anything. Like most people don't even know who Jason Adam plays for. So Jason Adam, Pete Fairbanks, love those guys with Tampa. Alex Lang with Detroit. Nobody's thinking of Detroit because Detroit sucks. These teams that suck, Lang to me is the best closer in that bullpen, and I can get 20 saves out of him. I'm not going to say he's a top 10 reliever, but he costs nothing. He's free. Michael Fulmer with the Cubs, free. Now, he may only be the eighth inning guy, but I think he's the best arm they got in that bullpen, probably. I think he's going to be a closer. Evan Phillips with the Dodgers, sign me up. Taylor Rogers with Rays Giants, sign me up. You mentioned Karinchak. These are all guys, right, who cost nothing. I mean, Munoz cost, Fairbanks slightly, but these other guys, nah, you ain't paying anything. So those are the guys. Like those, I just gave you the list. I'll give you again. Write them down. Munoz, Adam, Fairbanks, Lang, Fulmer, Phillips, Rogers, Karinchak. There you go. That's 8 names. I need 3 of them, or even 2 of them. And there are other guys. There are many other guys. Those are just some of my favorites. So that would be my list. Ray, I'm sure you've got your own list. Maybe there's some copies there. But this idea that I've got to go out and get Josh Hader, I got to go out and get Emmanuel Clase. I'm going to pay up for Iglesias or Kenley Jansen even. I mean, Ray, Kenley Jansen's kind of a guy I feel like you've been settling for in a lot of drafts. And he usually goes, 9th, 10th off the board?
Right there. 8th,
Everybody kind of just thinks he's washed up and he's no good anymore. I am not as into Jansen as Ray is, but the idea is totally fine. He's a guy who's got the job. I mean, he is the guy the Red Sox will give the ball to. I don't know how much more he's got left in the tank, but Ray, I think that's a perfect risk that you're taking in drafts.
Yeah, I mean, he's the guy on the list of I get 30 saves every year.
Yeah.
I mean, from different organizations, like you said, it's the Red Sox. I think we make a lot of the, the team stinks. So I don't want Lang or I don't want Fulmer or Jansen. A lot of times, why do teams stink? Because they don't have good players. And if you don't have good players and you're trying to win a game, who goes out there when the game's on the line? You're good players. So the guys,
in Ray, the 65 games Detroit wins, most of them are by 1 or 2 runs.
Right.
They're not blowing the doors off anybody.
And if there's only 2 relievers that manager trusts, guess who's getting the save chance? One of those 2 relievers every time. It's not going to be guy number 5 in the bullpen. No, they'll throw the number 1 guy 3 days in a row. Now, we got to win a game. So that's something to think about. And the recent FSGA draft that I did about a week ago, whatever the hell it was, or Monday, I guess. And that one's a 14-team mixed league. I was trying to get Jansen, didn't happen. So what I ended up doing is kind of a combination of what we're talking about here. In the 14-team mixed league, in the 10th round, I took David Bednar. In the 12th round, I took Scott Barlow. In the 22nd round, I took Taylor Rogers. And then in the 28th round, I took a flyer because we have unlimited IL spots on Liam Hendricks.
This is awesome.
So,
perfect.
So I did the early, I did the late. I put it together that way. Everyone, you have to, and I think it's the right way to play it too, because let's say, Bednar's not sexy or exciting. Give me 23 saves. Barlow's not sexy or exciting. Give me 21 saves. Give me 9 saves from Taylor Rogers. And who knows with Liam Hendricks, maybe he gets 15 for half the season. I'm middle of the packet saves at worst with that, at worst. And those guys are all likely to be dominant strikeout arms. They're likely to give me good ratios. So I'm not losing anything there. There's a higher percentage of victories going to bullpen arms versus starting pitchers than ever before, because bullpens throw so many more innings now than they used to. So yeah, I think that's just the way to play it. And the mindset at the end here, you can disagree with me, disagree with Kyle. The mindset, I think we can both agree, of people, I got to get my guy because I know this guy is going to get it done, is the wrong mindset. Because as we're seeing, guys fail with injury. They certainly fail with performance. So I got a top 5 closer. Yeah, doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. Well, and I'll close down the discussion by reiterating what we started it with. Don't be afraid, folks, to go off the board and say, man, I'm buying what Ray's selling. I'm buying what Kyle's selling. I'll get these relievers in season. If you want to do that, you want to play that game, don't draft any of them. You don't have to. Again, if you're in a 9-pitcher league, which is pretty well the norm, just 9 pitchers, just go get starters. Don't you could totally ignore the spot if you wanted. Now that it's risky because guys like Michael Fulmer, you're not going to have a shot at them. You're not going to get those guys on the waiver wire. But if you're a true believer that saves are going to pop up all season long on the waiver wire, get yourself 9, 10, 11, 12 starting pitchers, and you can play that game and just murder everybody in wins, strikeouts. You get maybe more of an emphasis with if you find a gem, like as your 9th starting pitcher. I mean, the ERA, though, yeah, I get it. You're punting saves, but you can also get saves in season. And there's a lot of teams at the bottom in the saves counting category that aren't anywhere close. Like Ray, if you're in a 12-team league, a 15-team league, they're usually like 2, 3, 4 teams that things have just gone so haywire for them in the bullpen that they're sitting there at like, it's July and this guy's got 8 saves. This guy has 11. This guy has 10. Like they're all crunched together. So even if you just find a guy in July, you may take this punting of saves and move up like 4 spots just because you got lucky on the waiver wire.
You could absolutely do that. And because remember, in the old days when every team had 230 save guys, it was hard to keep up. Now, as we talked about, every team doesn't even have 130 save guy, right? So it's a totally different landscape. Whereas 12 saves 10 years ago, now today, like Kyle's talking about, that vaults you up. I was thinking about this. I got a call yesterday when I was on Sirius. Someone, hey, Ray, give me some middle relievers. And you said your list earlier. I had Adam on my list. I had Gallego on my list. I had Taylor Rogers on my list, right? And so if you don't want to do the full weight, right, like Kyle's talking about here, the weight to the in-season pickup, you can do what I have done many times over the years and take 3 or 4 relievers on your bench in your reserve rounds.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're saying, take your 9 starters, get those guys locked in, and then have your bench, 6 guys on your bench, have 3 of them be middle relievers that you just, and if they don't work out, you drop them in 3 weeks, you pick up that guy that gets called up or whatever. That's another way to do it. I think we're at least in agreement that the investment that people make early in drafts because they think they know what they're getting is not the way to play it. The question is, how do you play it beyond that fact?
That is a very filling combo appetizer from Ray and I to get the lunch menu going. We are I mentioned that BSN draft coming up. That means we're 2 hours today. So we're going to move out of here at 2 o'clock Eastern. BSN draft 3 hours today. Myself and Johnny Venezia will be bringing you that. So you're going to want to stick around for that. But with our 2 hours, we got a lot of things to get to. So let's get through the rest of the lunch menu quickly. Our main dish today, Rob Povia, set to join us in less than an hour. If you caught last week's lunch special, it's something we do every Thursday in the preseason. Me, Ray, and Rob get together. We do a 5-round draft. Last week, it was pointing to 5 hitters for each of us, a total of 15 guys, who would reach new milestones in 2023, like a new high in ribbies, homers, batting average, whatever it is. This week, a little love to the pitchers. We will look at guys that we would draft for the first 15-win season of their career. First season with a 3.25 ERA or lower in their career, a 1.20 whip or lower, 20 saves for the first time, 180 Ks for the first time. It's a fun little exercise that Ray, Rob, and I will do coming up in about 50 minutes. It's just a 3-man, 5-round draft. And we'll hit all those categories and kind of build our teams. Maybe open your eyes to a few guys who could take that next step in 2023. On top of that, we'll continue our rundown of the outfield position. It is a Thursday, which means that when we talk outfielders, it's this guy or that dude. It's a head-to-head combo. Which one would you take if you're sitting in that draft room? So we've got a few of those. Let's see. Spring action. The Jets continue to make moves. Not the move we've been waiting for, but the Jets are still making moves. So we'll talk about some of that with the NFL. We got our lunch hunch, all that good stuff coming your way. Bet du jour, NCAA tournament tonight. The Sweet 16 is in play. Now, yesterday, I gave you an under on that, what was it, Tennessee? What the heck is Tennessee playing? I can't even recall now. Tennessee and San Diego State. Yeah, I think it was. Anyway, I gave an under on 130.5. That game is tonight. I saw a number today. Unders are 35 and 17 in the tournament.
Wow.
So there's even more reason to take that under. My bet du jour today is for tomorrow in the NCAA tournament. Going to take a favorite to cover. Houston. Currently, I think that number, I checked it early this morning, it was 6.5. Then I checked it before the show. It's at 7. I'll still run it at 7. Houston is favored by 7. They are taking on Miami. I'll take Houston cover minus 110. Cougars have gotten, 4 days to kind of rest up to get better. They are a bit beat up. 2 of their critical pieces have been limping around through the first couple of games, but I think the 4 days will help. They are still really good defensively. And I think that defense is going to slow down Miami a lot. Houston is going to hit the boards like crazy too. So I like Houston to pull that cover. I think Miami's kind of lucky to even be here in the round of 16. So that will be my bet for tomorrow with Houston favored by 7. Tennessee FAU. That was the game. I had the under 130.5 there. Dessert for today. The City of Lights has turned into the City of Garbage. We'll even let you see the City of Garbage coming up a bit later in the show. Finally, Ray, our drink special. We close down the menu with that. What do you have for us today?
Yeah, this is a vodka with natural flavors added. I have not tried it yet. This is a Kyle Frank. It's still got the juice in the bottle.
My God, it looks like a mellow yellow. Is that a green bottle?
It's a green bottle. Yeah.
For vodka?
For vodka flavor added. This is I think technically it's a shoju. It's important. It might just be a sake. I'm not even, no, it's got to be a shoju. It's a coconut flavored Good Day. And Kyle, we all need to have a good day, right? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You're not buying this?
So that's vodka and coconut flavoring, huh?
Yeah. It's 375 milliliters, a little bit bigger than a can, 12.5% alcohol by volume. So it's not, it's one of these. It's a pretty souped up size, Kyle, for you. You like the 12? I mean, that's pretty good. It's not.
Well, you got to take shots of that, right? You're taking shots.
Yeah, you're not supposed to swig it.
Yeah, you're not drinking it out of the bottle.
No, you could.
You haven't tasted this yet, huh?
I haven't. If you didn't have a good day, maybe you would be swigging it out of the bottle.
I guarantee you, by the end of that bottle, it would be a good day.
Yeah, right. It's imported from South Korea. So this is from Kmart. Not Kmart. What is it? What do we call it?
Kmart or Target?
No, what's it called? I'm trying to remember the name of it. Well, I'm having a brain. I worked too much the last couple of days. What's it called? I'll look it up.
Is it an A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V Mart? Any of those?
Why am I drawing a total blank on this?
Heather is saying
H Mart.
H Mart. Yeah,
it is H Mart. Heather Klein's correct. It's an H Mart, which is a special place. They have all kinds of coolness there. But if you go to H Mart, my recommendation, if your H Mart is like our H Mart, wear your big puffy outdoor coat because that thing is cold, Kyle. They got all kinds of meats in there. They got all kinds of fish in there. It is cold. They keep the temperature down, so wear a poofy jacket.
So on a hot summer day, you head to the H Mart to some people go to the theater.
Totally could.
H Mart.
For real. Yeah. For real.
I wonder, Heather's wondering in there is, because vodka is potatoes. Mm-hmm. This may be a vodka-based or a rice-based vodka is what we're hearing on what you've got in your hand.
She probably would know better than us. I think that's fair.
Rice-based vodka. Okay. Well, I'm going to be boring. I just got a beer.
It's a good day.
Just a beer, not this stuff. Coconut flavored vodka. I don't know. I can't wait to hear how that tasted. I don't believe I've showed this off. One of my favorite local brews here. This is an Incarnation IPA. I maybe have shown this in the past, but last night, as I was trying to erase the memory of ESPN and Sports Center, I had a couple of these. They're 7% a pop. They're great. Four Hands Brewery is a dynamite. If you're ever in downtown St. Louis, it's not that far from the ballpark. I would even say it's within walking distance of the ballpark. You would head south from the ballpark, straight shot on the street, and head to this place. Incarnation is the beer, the brand of beer. Four Hands, I guess, is the brand, the brewery. So look for Four Hands Brewery, but it's very good. The other thing I like about Four Hands is with all their beers, all their varieties, they list a pairings. What kind of food you can have.
Yeah, nice.
So here you have, what is that? Spicy food or grilled beef. These are the two. Grilled beef. Couple of these, I don't. There's probably 10 different varieties of four hands, and one of them is the pairing is toasted ravioli. You're supposed to have some toasted ravs.
Yep.
So
Yep.
this is grilled beef and spicy food. I did not have anything with these beers last night. They were just straight beers. I didn't even have like Cheetos or anything. No peanuts, no pretzels, no nothing. So I didn't get the spice and I didn't get the grilled beef. It was 10:30. I wasn't going to go out and grill some beef just so I could have it with my Incarnation beer.
I like the can though. It looks cool. The design on it and everything. I know we were talking about marketing and everything yesterday, but I like that. Solid.
I like their little barcode thing too.
Yeah.
See that above the barcode? There's the skyline of St. Louis.
Skyline with the arch. Yeah.
Yeah. They put that on there. So
nice.
There you go. Speaking of food and lunch menu, Ray, Darren Ravel, the business guy, used to be with ESPN. I don't even know who he's floating around with anymore. This is a good one. The Mets are trying to find a way to cover that Edwin Diaz contract.
They had insurance, pal. Come on.
Yeah, they got insurance, but they still have a salary well north of $200 million for that team. What are they doing now to raise some funds for poor Steve Cohen?
Yeah, poor Steve Cohen that doesn't have any money, who basically did an interview, I think it was yesterday, and he said they're not looking at this moment in time to add a bunch of salary in the ninth inning. Of course, that could change depending upon how things go. But basically, they're offering a tour of all the different food locations at the Mets stadium there. Private tour. You get to go to each spot where they have different food. You get to try something in each spot. Okay. $150. Now,
that's not half bad, really.
Like, I don't know. Last time I was at Citi Field was, 5 years ago. So I have no idea what's there now. But I know, like, here in San Francisco, there's tons of different types of food. Sushi, crab, there's all kinds of stuff here. So if you've got a big appetite and you get to go around and taste things, it sounds expensive, and it is, but it's really not that bad. I agree with you.
Yeah, if you did one in San Francisco, Ray, it would cost at least this. Yeah, as they drive you around and go to places. Here, you don't have to drive around. You just walk around the ballpark.
Yeah,
it's actually great. I don't think that's bad at all. Now, on the front, you're right. $150 to walk around a crummy stadium and taste hot dogs. Well, they got other stuff besides just hot dogs. So I kind of like it. Now, I don't want them going there and saying, well, actually, you get a taste of 5 foods. I don't want that crap. Like, literally, if we get a taste of everything, anything we want, like, I want it. I don't want to show up, Ray, and they're like, we're out of cotton candy. No, I want a taste of everything in that ballpark.
Yeah,
and I better get a beer as I go on this tour, I think, too.
Yeah. People might have heard of eater.com. They did a tour last year. Amazing chicken company. This is at Citi Field. Chicken tenders, cheesy taters. Ooh, that might be good. Sushi, spicy chicken sandwiches, fried chicken biscuit sandwiches, lobster roll, cheesecake, carving station for steak. Let's see here. Pepperoni and cheese pizza, Pig Beach barbecue. So obviously that's, some barbecue. Shake Shack, tacos.
This is good.
There's a lot of stuff there at the old Citibank Park. Yeah.
Yeah. $150. I don't think it's that bad. A money-making avenue. And if it even halfway works, every other place in baseball is going to do it too. Even Oakland. A taste of the Coliseum. We found this buried under the grill from 1984.
Oh, look at
that. Would you like the sewage soup that came from a backed up pipe underneath the dugout?
That's good.
That would be the Coliseum. Okay, break for us. Again, we're going until 2:00. The BSN Fantasy Baseball Draft will follow us. By the way, that is the first ever BSN Fantasy Baseball Draft. Years from now, they will be writing books about BSN, and they'll say, where were you for the first ever fantasy baseball draft? Well, you can tell them. You just got to stick around. Coming up at 2 Eastern. Okay, break for us. When we return, got some spring game tidbits, maybe some news and notes, and we've got this guy or that dude taking a couple of outfielders who are in very similar positions in terms of ADP and saying, hey, Ray Flowers, would you rather take this guy or that guy? And it's not a reliever. These are outfielders, guys that Ray will actually draft. We'll tell you which way he's leaning. Stay with us. More coming your way. It is Lunch Money on the Bettor Sports Network.
Sports Network. Collectible moments.
Everybody up here at U.S. Cellular. Sox 5 runs, 6 hits. The 2-1 to Bartlett. Swing shot to short. Ramirez has it, throws. Farley picks a perfect game. His second no-hitter. People going crazy here at U.S. Cellular. He's mobbed by his teammates. A perfecto.
Now there's a steal by Bird. Underneath the DJ, lays it in. Right up, 1 second left. What a play by Bird. Bird stole the impounding pass. Laid it up to DJ. DJ laid it up at him. And Boston has a 1-point lead with 1 second left.
Out of the I formation on first down. Peterson to carry, looking for running room on the right side, has it to the 25, across the 30, across the 35, and out of bounds at the 40-yard line. Adrian Peterson has just gone over 2,000 yards for the season, the 7th man in NFL history to cross the 2,000-yard mark.
Well, a thundering ovation for number 66, Mario Lemieux.
Just the emotion I'm sure Mario is feeling in this place. You don't appreciate something until it's gone, and it's so great to have Mario back.
Yager turns around. Over to Lemieux. Mario Lemieux, his first goal in his comeback here tonight at the Mellon Arena. And the Penguins lead 3-0, and he is smiling like a butcher's dog. Mario Lemieux.
Oh, the band is out on the field. He's going to go into the end zone. The Bears have scored, but the Bands are out on the field.
Pearson moves in front of the STP does. Petty comes back to the inside. They almost touch as they move down low in the banking. They're going to be side by side as they exit the bank and head for the finish line.
Richard Petty goes back in front. They both spin. They're in the wall. Petty is sliding, slamming into the wall. He's coming down toward the finish line. Will he make it? Pearson is still running. The winner is car number 21. An amazing finish. Richard Petty's car demolished in the front end, as well as car number 21. An unbelievable finish, a terrible crash. David Pearson has won the Daytona 500. Leitner catches, comes down, dribbles, shoots, scores! Christian Leitner has hit the bucket at the buzzer! Pitched by Downey, swinging, there's a drive into left center field. That ball is going to be out of here. It's gone. It's 7-15. There's a new home run champion of all time, and it's Henry Aaron.
The most valuable player is Magic Johnson. 42 points, 15 rebounds, and 7 assists. He starts at center, plays forward and guard, and leads the Los Angeles Lakers to a world championship 123-107 over Philadelphia.
Whether you collect sports memorabilia, fantasy championships, or winning bet slips, talk about it on Bettor Sports Network. It's always lunchtime here. Now back to Kyle Elfrink and Ray Flowers.
Classing the joint up here on Lunch Money. Kyle and Ray with you on a Thursday. Hope all is well. I see the chat room already up and rolling. So if you got any thoughts, any questions, any comments, by all means, send them to us in there. We have our weekly lunch special. We do it every Thursday. Rob Povey is going to join us for our 5-round draft coming up in just a bit. But we got a lot of things to take care of before that, including the news that a man who finished second in Rookie of the Year voting 2 years ago, a man who finished, I think it was number 6, sixth in Cy Young voting. This was actually more than 2 years ago. This is like 3 years. This might have been pre-COVID. Let me look this up. Yeah, Mike Soroka. This is pre-COVID. Mike Soroka's back in our life. In 2019, let me take you back. Mike Soroka was really good. In 2019, he had a 2.7 ERA. In 2019, he went 13-4. In 2019, a 1.10 whip. Mike Soroka, Ray, was back on a mound yesterday in spring training. His first appearance of the spring, I think it was 36 pitches. Everybody was happy. The velocity was better. Needless to say, Ray, it's been a long time since Mike Soroka mattered because injuries have just crushed him. Weird ones, too. But he did make an appearance yesterday, increased velocity, about a mile an hour. We'll see where it goes from here. Is there any stashable upside here for Mike Soroka, like 28, 29?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember exactly what happened, but he had the Achilles issue and he was working his way back. And didn't he like tear it again in the shower?
He tore the other one, didn't he?
Yeah, like in the shower or walking around his house or like something. Like just guys had horrible luck. And I mean, I did a podcast and it went up this morning over at fantasyguru.com. I did a podcast last night, and I was looking at that 5th starter spot with the Braves, and I'm like, look, they want it to be Soroka. Like, there's no debating they want it to be Soroka. Where is he? Can we count on him? Can we depend on him? To me, I can't draft him. I just can't.
Yeah.
I mean, there's too much water under the bridge, as they say. There's been too much time, that's gone by. You've got Ian Anderson there. You've got Bryce Edler there, Schuster, Dodd. Like, there's really 5 guys that could take that 5th spot in the rotation for the Braves. So, and I said on the podcast, and I'll reiterate it here, I don't have any clarity on this. Like, I could tell someone go grab Soroka, but it might be Anderson that emerges, or maybe Schuster gets the job, or hell, maybe Dodd's the guy. I really don't know. So I'm kind of avoiding the whole scenario at the moment, Kyle.
Yeah, I appreciate the ability to fight through all this stuff, because he's been fighting through a lot of crap. I mean, like loads of stuff. So it's cool that he's back, but I think we're so far removed from like consideration. You mentioned all the competition, but also it's been 4 years, man. It's like, I'll take a shot on some hotshot rookie who's going to start the year in AAA versus a guy coming back from double Achilles injuries, and who hasn't pitched in the majors since the COVID year of 2020. So I'll stay away from that, but a good story nonetheless. Soroka looked pretty good yesterday. A totally different story for Tanner Houck. You don't see lines like this very often in spring training, but 4 2/3 innings for Tanner Houck, 10 hits, 8 runs, 3 homers, and 3 hit batters. It's like, Ray, if that happens in a regular season game, it sinks your entire week. Like, the whip, the ERA, everything falls apart with that kind of line.
Yeah, I mean, Tanner Houck is a guy that I wrote highly about last year. I think he might have been my breakout pitcher last year, actually. And he pitched well, but they slotted him to the bullpen. Then he was a middle reliever. Then he was the closer. And they're talking about him starting in the rotation this year because of injuries to Paxton and Whitlock, but then putting him back in the bullpen. He's one of these guys that I think his team's doing him a disservice, in my opinion. Put him in a spot and go. Make a decision. Don't start him, relieve him, start. And it's one outing. Who cares? He's got good stuff. The way it's lining up for the Red Sox, he looks like he's going to be in that rotation to start the year. But again, Whitlock is not far behind coming back from his hip issue. They can dream on James Paxton maybe making it. I don't know. Brian Bellows there, the youngster with the big arm. It looks like, Houck will be there 4 and Cutter Crawford will be there 5. But it's just to start the year. So Houck is someone that if I knew he was locked in, I'd be interested. But I don't think he's locked into the rotation.
Is there literally any other activity that you can do when it comes to James Paxton except dream, Ray? Isn't that the only thing you can do with James Paxton is dream? And
Big Maple. Yeah, let's pull this up real quick just to laugh.
Big Maple is like rotten wood over the last 4 or 5 years.
I mean, he threw 160 and 150 innings in 18 and 19. So he was very good, right? Strikeout, well over strikeout. And he averaged 195 strikeouts while throwing 155 innings. Then in 2020, during the COVID shortened year, he threw 20 innings. During the 2021 season, he threw 1 1/3 innings. Last year, he threw 0 innings. So he's thrown 22 big league innings in 3 years. You might be right, Kyle.
I always ask Walt in the morning, what'd you dream about? I'm waiting for him to say James Paxton making 25 starts. when he says that, Ray, I'm going to remove myself from the seat, and we're putting Walt on air when he starts dreaming about James Paxton, if he can break through that wall. Let's move on. We'll get you some more spring highlights, some news and notes. We got other injuries to update you on, so we'll get to that a bit later. Do want to jump to the outfield spot. All week long here on Lunch Money, Ray and I have been breaking down things, dealing with outfielders from 1 to 100. Got a few more outfielders to talk about today. If you've missed any of our outfield discussion, by all means, hit us up on demand. It's only $2.99 a month. You get not only our show, but all the shows here on the BSN family of programming. So if you missed any of that outfield stuff, you can find it. Today, we are taking a look at kind of a head-to-head, because we all have these in drafts where you need a position. And you say, okay, I'm looking at 2 guys. Who do I go with? Oh, well, this guy's better here. This guy's better there. And I should admit, sometimes the decision may be driven by the makeup of your team. If you need power, you'll go with the guy who has 25 home run potential versus the guy who has a 300 average. Sometimes you're driven in that direction. For these, Ray, we're kind of just saying, oh, well, we don't necessarily need anything. We're just looking for the better fantasy outfielders. So let's dig into a few of these. We will start with a head-to-head, this guy, that dude, of ex-teammates. Guys who no longer patrol the same outfield, but they did for a little bit. Talking about the Mariners' Teoscar Hernandez, traded in the offseason from Toronto to Seattle. And we're comparing him, Ray, to George Springer, who is still in that Toronto outfield, as we talked about yesterday. He's making the move over to the corners. He's pretty well lost a step or so in center field, so they'll take it easy on him. He always has injuries popping up, so they'll kind of hide him, if you will, in right field. Teoscar Hernandez in Seattle or George Springer into Toronto. Who is your choice there, Ray?
Dastardly, Kyle, because these guys are actually back-to-back in the rankings over at fantasyguru.com.
Somebody has to be ahead of the other guy then.
Yeah, well, what is? It's very easy to see which guy's ahead because they're back-to-back. George Springer is the more well-rounded player in theory. The problem is that injury, like you said, it's just like he played 133 games last year. It was a 4-year high. Like he missed 9 games during the COVID shortened year. He played 78 games in 2021. He only played 122 games in 2019. He always misses games. Yeah. He's great. He's kind of like, it's not the same. He's kind of like Jacob deGrom. Like whenever he's out there, he's really good. He just misses games. The intriguing thing with Springer is that in the minors, this guy stole bases. He was supposed to be a 30-30 guy in the bigs, right? That's what we thought would happen. Never stole more than 16 bases. And his 16 steals were back in 2015. And then it was, 5 steals, 6 steals, 4 steals. Last year, he stole 14 bases out of nowhere. Okay, it'd been 7 years since he had 10 steals. New rules, new things played, all this kind of stuff. You want to say Springer, but I'm saying Hernandez because I can't trust Springer to be on the field. I almost feel like the more he runs, the more danger he runs into from the health. He's got a great lineup. He's got a great ballpark, and he's tremendous on a per-outing basis, but I'm taking Teoscar Hernandez.
Yeah, I would go Hernandez, too, and I think you nailed it on the steals, Ray. I'm not looking at him and counting on that again. He's 33 years old. I mean, that's usually the point, especially in the outfield, Ray, where not only does the ability to rack up bases on the skills disappear, unless you're Starling Marte, who's still going around first to second. But for Springer, I think we're back to single digits. I think we're going to miss games again. Like you said, you got to bake in 30, 40 missed games with George Springer. And I think that's still going to be the case. So even when he's out there, he'll be fine. He'll be his typical self. I wouldn't be stunned if the batting average continued to kind of dwindle. He's been fairly consistent. He's got a lot of 270 and 260 years. I could see that dropping into the 250s as we reach the age 33 season. And I don't see anything with Springer. I guess if everything broke his way, he could hit 30 homers. He's got real legitimate home run capabilities.
Sure. Yep.
But that's maybe the only thing I could see being elite. If he batted first and stayed in the lineup all year, I guess he could score like 120 runs, for that Blue Jays lineup. But again, I just don't think the health's there. Meanwhile, I look at Hernandez, Ray, and the guy's like middle of the order power. And we saw it last year. You can hit for home runs in Seattle. Rodriguez does. Suarez does. I think Hernandez can. So I could see him in that lineup, Ray, with where he's positioned in the lineup, 25 home runs and 90 ribbies. And I would consider both those kind of above and beyond what Springer can do. So I'll go Hernandez. The edge would be stolen bases. That's how Springer could blow past him. But I think both are kind of closer to 5 than they are to 10 going into this season. Our next, this guy or that dude, takes us to the aforementioned Starling Marte. What do you know? He's next, still stealing bases. Still trying to get healthy, though. Going up against Brian Reynolds of the Pittsburgh Pirates. 2 guys that when you draft them, you say, I'll take Starling Marte. Or, I'll take Brian Reynolds. Ray, where do you lean here? The younger guy or the older guy? The Met or the Pirate?
You just don't like Brian Reynolds, do you? Jeez, Kyle.
He's okay.
Is it the Pirates or is it that nothing he does is spectacular?
I'm a little gun shy. I invested in him in a couple of spots last year, and I was pretty let down. He had a horrid start, and
he did.
Part of it's the Pirates. He doesn't get any ribbies. No runs scored. Those numbers are always going to be suppressed, I think, by the Pirates.
Yeah, I think that Brian Reynolds, and we saw this over the weekend with the Tout Wars, like the points league drafts and stuff, like Brian Reynolds shoots up in a points league because he takes a walk. He's not a big strikeout guy. Does a little bit of this, that, hits a double, that kind of thing. In the 5x5 game, though, it's, I'm going to throw random numbers out here, right? It's 275, 23, 75, 75, 5, right? It's like, okay. Now, could it be 300? It has been before. Could he hit 25 plus home runs? Absolutely could. Could he drive in 90 plus? Sure. But it is tough to get excited about him because it is the Pirates. Now, there's always the chance they trade him. They're still working through the contract. There's no big rush because they control him for another couple years, but that's in play here. In the competition with Marte, I'm going to favor Marte over Reynolds. I think that Reynolds, I would say it this way, Reynolds' floor is probably higher than Marte. Marte is starting to age. Injuries are part of his game. He failed to play 125 games the last 2 years. Like, he could play 98 games this year, right? And I don't think Reynolds has that part of his game. But I do look in Marte, and I expect a higher batting average. He's still hitting over 300 the last 2 years. Though his steal total dipped last year, it was still 18. I think the new rules and all that certainly give him a shot to hit 30 this year. So I'm going to go with Marte. I've always been a Marte guy. And I think he can still hit 290 plus and still 30 bases.
I would probably go Reynolds here, Ray. And it's kind of like the argument I made with Springer. I think Marte is at the point of like 120 games. Like, there always just seems to be something cropping up. Even this spring, we've seen something cropping up. And I'll make that call even with the idea that I believe Reynolds stays in Pittsburgh this year. I don't think they're trading him. They want to give this a little more of an effort. Maybe if he sees more positive youth coming up through the ranks and maybe the team plays slightly better, if he can see signs that maybe they're turning a corner in Pittsburgh, I could see Reynolds more willing to accept what the Pirates are offering. I think right now he's like, dude, I got to get out of here. This franchise sucks. And maybe they're offering a fair deal, maybe slightly below fair. I don't know. But I think Reynolds sticks around with Pittsburgh. I'm not making that pick because he's going to end up with the Dodgers or end up with the Yankees. I think that would help. I think that would really push me in the direction. But I think Reynolds is just a better bet for 145 games and like solid all around. Nothing good, but solid all around. And the injuries are what I'm staying away from with Marte on that one. Our third, this guy or that dude in the outfield. Couple of guys who, mostly out of nowhere last year. Certainly the guy in Washington, Joey Meneses, out of nowhere last year. The guy went bonkers in the second half. The other guy was out of nowhere, but kind of held on to it for an entire season. Nobody was talking about either of these guys 12 months ago. They are now. Lars Nootbaar of the St. Louis Cardinals or Joey Meneses of the Washington Nationals. Both guys, Ray, appear to be ticketed for jobs. In the case of Nootbaar, maybe it's not locked and loaded. In the case of Meneses, and we've talked about this a lot with the Nationals, if you got a job, you've got a job. They're going to let you roll, and I think he's got the job over at first base.
Yeah, I think that last part of the statement is what's the most interesting to me when we talk about this combination of guys. One guy looks like he's in the lineup the other day. The other one, you're there. What's the sense, by the way, since we're talking about the Cardinals? People are starting to look at the numbers with Jordan Walker, and it's like, he's had a couple of – is he still locked into this lineup, you think, Kyle?
I think with his start in spring, everybody kind of said, oh, well, it's done. It's taken care of. What you're referencing is the fact that he's been really quiet now for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I saw a number that Walker hasn't hit a home run, I think, in the last 11 games. It's like almost 40 at-bats, which, again, okay, is that the standard where you got to hit a home run every 11 games? Well, you hope he does, but in spring training, is that enough to say, oh, you're demoted? I feel like everybody maybe had that question a month ago, Ray, and then he came out and he hit these moonshots, and everybody got excited. And they said, well, that's taken care of, Jordan. The vibe is he's on this team.
Okay.
That's the vibe. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if we get a surprise like next Tuesday that he's going to start in the minors.
Right.
I can see the Cardinals doing that. I think Nootbaar is in a pretty good spot regardless. They like Lars Nootbaar a lot. They wouldn't part with him in some trades this offseason. So it's not 160 games. You're not going to get that, but I think he's a pretty regular part and piece of this batting lineup with the Cardinals.
Okay. And I say that because I like you noted with Meneses, there's not that concern. Like maybe he hits 210, he gets removed from the lineup because he stinks, but he's playing every day for this team. And I was reading an interesting article over at Fangraphs this morning talking about him actually, and it went through all the data. And the bottom line with Meneses is he hits the ball hard. Like that, he just does. And, you can't look at him last year and think he's hitting 320 again or 900 OPS. Like these that's bonkers stuff. And he is 30 years old. He'll be 31 in a couple months. Like we don't see it often, right?
Right. When you think about him, look at him. I'm getting Patrick Wisdom vibes, like this guy who'd been around a while. It was a good story. Like Wisdom came up and went bonkers, and really all he is a swing and miss home run guy. And I kind of think Meneses could turn into that this season.
Well, his strikeout rate's about 10% better than Wisdom, so there is a significant. But your overall point, like, and we saw, I think Max Muncy was the first guy that I think of in the recent past that no one talked about this guy really, and then at 28 here he is kind of thing. It doesn't happen that often. Meneses didn't make a major league appearance till he was 30. He didn't have a single at bat till he was 30. That's, that usually there's significant issues with guys that have that, right? They can't hit a curveball. They can't play defense. There's something so I think I'm going Meneses. I think for two reasons. One, he qualifies at first base in the outfield, and I like the flexibility. And two, I think that playing time is more locked in for him. So 25 home runs, 70 RBIs. Like, I'm not getting nuts here, right? But I think he could do something like that, and I like that positional flexibility.
I would agree with you on the choice. I don't really want either guy. I don't think Nootbaar is all that good, honestly. The St. Louis Cardinals. I think he's like a fourth outfielder overall. He was pitiful at the start of last season. Dreadful. It was like, why is this guy on the team? And then guys got injured, guys moved on. He got hot, and he kind of finished with a strong kick to the season, kind of like Meneses did. But neither guy really interests me. But I think you get at least the power upside with Joey Meneses, and like you said, the playing time probably helping as well. Another this guy or that dude. One guy we don't know much about. The other guy we've seen plenty of, but we're kind of wondering, what is he at this point? Do we know much about him? Let's do Masataka Yoshida with the Red Sox, or Michael Conforto. Been a while since we saw Michael Conforto. He's now with the San Francisco Giants. Ray, this is kind of an unfair, this guy or that dude, because, of course, we've got the confusion, if you will. What is Yoshida? Where's he going to bat? Is he a power hitter? Is he a guy at the top of the order? Is he an on-base machine? Is he a guy who drives we just don't know. Conforto, the question is shoulder injury, pretty severe. Can he get back to being Michael Conforto quickly?
Yeah. And if you look at the ADP over at the NFBC in the month of March, they're 25 spots apart? No, they're 15 spots apart. So I think that the community, doesn't quite know. I don't quite know, to be fair. I know that a lot of people watching, the WBC and getting a better look at Yoshida are becoming even more interested in him for this season. I want to say Conforto because we've seen it before, and he's a Giant. But I'm going to say Yoshida by a hair because it's taken Conforto longer than we thought to get back out there. I'm not really sure why last year it didn't happen. We thought he was going to sign all season long, and he never did it. I'm going to go Yoshida, but it's tight. And I think that, while Yoshida's got power, it's kind of what you were talking about when we started the segment. Conforto still has to be the favorite for the power numbers. I think Yoshida can be a favorite for batting average and steals because Conforto doesn't run. So it might be more of a decision to make about how your team is coming together than me feeling this guy absolutely is the choice over that guy.
Yeah. We'll get another quick one here. One last one. And honestly, this would be the point in the draft where you say, I just need late power. Just give me late power. So Ray, I got two guys. Both of them in the American League, both of them with new teams, both of them trying to keep being, I don't know. One guy seems gone. One guy seems like for 2 years we've seen nothing. The other guy, we had a huge 2021, massive. And then he just crumbled last season. Joey Gallo of the Twins or Adam Duvall of Boston. And let me remind everybody, Adam Duvall in 2021 led the National League in RBIs. Got 113. So Ray, Duvall's with the Red Sox, Gallo with the Twins. These guys are sluggers. These guys who pretty well you're taking aim at home runs. Who's the better bet for those home runs this year?
There's 3 seasons in his career that Adam Duvall's had 400 at bats. Actually, they were all 500 at bat seasons. In all of those seasons, he's had at least 31 home runs and 99 RBIs. And to your point, he went 38, 113 2 years ago. ADP has them 7 spots apart in the month of March in the NFBC, and it's in the 400s. So no one's really drafting these guys. I'm going to go with Gallo.
Ooh.
I have like 2 spots apart in the rankings over at fantasyguru.com. I'm going to go with Gallo because he's younger, because he's more athletic, and because I think that the Twins have no plans to trade Joey Gallo. I think the Red Sox would trade Duvall in a heartbeat, right? Mm-hmm. He goes out and has a good 2 months. They flip him to someone. He becomes a 4th outfielder for some team, right? Or somebody, he's a fill-in for someone that got hurt. So I'll parse it that way. Age, the opportunity for playing time. And I think Gallo's just a little bit better. It's, like you're saying, these guys could hit 210. They could hit 180. It's really bad, but I'd take a shot on Gallo.
I go slightly Duvall just because I'm a little more comfortable with the batting average. This kind of goes to what we touched on yesterday with Trent Grisham in the outfield. And it's like, I don't really care how many steals you're getting. If you're hitting 186, I can't stomach it. It's tough. And Ray, I wonder if that's the case with Gallo. Like, he could literally hit 28 home runs and bat 190. And I get it. 28 home runs is 28 home runs. We love that in the category. But Ray, I mean, like, I feel like you have to hit 40 home runs and hit 200 for me to say you're kind of worth the trouble.
But remember, 3 seasons of 500 at bats, 31 home runs a year for Duvall. 3 seasons of 425 at bats for Gallo. Every one of those seasons, 38 or more home runs. So, like you're saying, they're very much the same player.
His career average rate is 199.
Yeah,
for Joey Gallo.
Keep in mind, this also depends upon your league setup, because his career on base percentage is 325. So he's horrendous at batting average. On base percentage, he's better than the league average. So keep that in mind. He is one of those guys, tons of walks. But Gallo, I mean, you would think at some point, because even last year, 50% hard hit rate, 18% barrel rate, those are elite numbers. The problem is a 40% strikeout rate. Yeah. So there has to be a happy medium. He hasn't found it yet. I don't think we can reasonably expect him to find it at this stage of his career. But he's only 29. He's just a year removed from 38 home runs, like you talked about with Duvall. I'll slightly favor Joey Gallo.
To this day, Ray, I still reference Rob Deere as this great swing and miss slugger. 30 years from now, I think it's going to be Joey Gallo. Remember Joey Gallo? This guy hit 200 with 35 home runs. When you see him hit the ball, you're like, wow, this guy's the best power hitter in baseball. And maybe he has the most raw power. And I don't know. I'm going to check this during the break. I want to see what the odds are for him to win the home run title. It's not a bad bet, is it?
He's not a terrible bet. And honestly, it kind of belies his offensive game, but he's a really good athlete. Like, he's a good defender. Mm-hmm. He's pretty good on the base pass. Like, you would think, like Rob Deere, in my mind at least, and I don't have metrics in front of me, kind of lumbering outfielder, right? Like, that's not Joey Gallo, but the offense leads to a lot of strikeouts, too many strikeouts.
That is this week's edition of This Guy or That Dude, taking a look at the outfield. We'll take a quick breather here. When we come back, we got an update on Raisel Iglesias, a little bit more information on that shoulder injury that will sideline him. Got some other guys that are going to start the year on the IL, and we've got further interest, let's go with that word, showing up in a man named Will Benson. Ray talked about him 2-3 weeks ago. I think a lot of other people are talking about him now. We'll give you the rundown next, right here on Lunch Money.
Talk sports with Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla, Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on Bettor Sports Network.
Let me say something about Tiger. Tiger has had to redesign his entire swing. Tiger has a difference in the length of his legs because of that horrible accident. In golf, there's no hey, you can't walk the greens. You have to take a cart. So I assumed by day 3 on Sunday, the inflammation would start. He took a couple breaks where they take care of his back a little bit. But it is fascinating watching him. So it gave me this thought, is he that skilled at golf or is this a mental thing of dedication and determination? He is so dedicated to the sport that no matter what, he's relentless to it. And the dedication and determination goes to the golf, the swing, the playing, the walking, but it goes to his overall health. The average person who doesn't stay in great shape, gets in an accident like that, goes through multiple surgeries, is not recovering and going out there to walk. And that course has some pretty steep inclines, a lot of walking. I mean, how else can you factor in these athletes, the Michael Jordans, the LeBrons, these players that just, their whole focus is really optimal health, optimal body skills, optimal. And then what comes next is being the best at what they do.
I think you just hit on why Tiger still has that drive. I don't know this. I don't know the man. It could just be love of the game. It could be, I want to make as much money as I can while playing. Could be all this stuff. But LA, a lot of people think Tiger Woods is the GOAT of golf. And I don't understand how you can be the GOAT of golf when you are 3 majors short of Jack Nicklaus. Okay. So like LeBron, I don't think he cares what guys like me say anymore, right? He's past Kareem. He thinks he's the GOAT. I mean, he's 3rd on my list. He's in the debate. Many other people think he's the GOAT. He's not my GOAT. You know what I mean? So I wonder if Tiger is there, like LeBron, like, I don't care what the pundits, what the barbershops say. I'm the GOAT. I don't have to do anything more. This is all gravy. I wonder if Tiger looks at it that way.
I don't know what Tiger's mindset is in the GOAT status, but when players talk about what it's like to be at a tournament, when Tiger's playing versus when he's not, they'll tell you that they're on the greens and they can hear the roar 4 holes over, and that there is nothing that compares to the excitement of when he's present.
Bettor Sports Live, Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific, exclusively on Bettor Sports Network. Or listen whenever you want on the app with BSN On Demand.
Now back to Lunch Money, powered by FantasyGuru.com. Here's Kyle and Ray.
Wow, some rare doves on the return here from Lunch Money. Like what I'm hearing on a Thursday. Kyle and Ray back with you. Opened the show a little over an hour ago talking about relievers, namely Raisel Iglesias. Ray, a little bit more information here. It's still kind of wishy-washy, but at least the Braves have spoken a bit about that shoulder.
Yeah, they have. And the report is basically fingers crossed. Basically, we've got Justin Toscano, who covers the team for the AJC, saying he's going to require a 15-day IL stint, hopefully. Like, that's kind of where they're at right now. I found an article over at The Athletic, David O'Brien, another one of the guys that covers the team. And the headline, Iglesias shouldn't miss much time. It is possible he could return soon after a 15-day minimum IL stint, though it's too early to know the likelihood of that. So
let's parse that sentence, Ray. It is possible that he could, at some point return after the 15-day stint, but that's up. This is a month. Ray, I'm calling it. He's out. It's possible he could return soon after the minimum, though it's too early to know what the likely. This is a month, Ray. Out for April. Raisel Iglesias.
Well, it's not, whether they're right or wrong, and they don't know, they're guesstimating, right? They're going with what their sources are telling them. Whether they're right or wrong, that does not tell us that when he's back, whenever he's back, he's good to go and he's 100%. We don't, and we can't tell if this, because we don't have any medical information here. His shoulder is sore. Just to put it out there, we all panic when a guy's elbow is sore, his forearm, because we think Tommy John surgery, right? If your shoulder is jacked up, it's hard to fix it. Like, you can't have Tommy John surgery and fix it, right? Your shoulder's jacked up. Guys don't even want to have shoulder surgery because they're worried about it. So it's a tough scenario, but right now the beat writers are hopeful. Let's put it that way. They're hopeful it's going to be a short stay, but we just don't know for sure.
I wouldn't touch him before the injury. Certainly not touching him after the injury there with Iglesias. We've got some other issues with injuries. Adam Wainwright, who was penciled in to be the starter on opening day for the St. Louis Cardinals, he is going to start the year on the IL with a growing injury. Ranger Suarez trying to pitch through a forearm issue. It didn't feel good yesterday. MRI didn't show any structural damage, but he is very likely to start the year on the IL. Hunter Brown, who a lot of people ticketed for the 5th spot in the Astros rotation, he is day-to-day with back tightness. On the good side of the ledger is Joe Musgrove, Joe Musgrove did throw a 3-inning simulation as he battles back from that broken toe. So we might see him at some point in the month of April. The Twins say that Jorge Polanco and Alex Kirilloff will both start the year on the IL. Ray, Polanco is probably the big name there. What do you do in terms of dropping him on your board? It's a knee injury that he's been battling.
Yeah, and he battled it last year. I think he missed the last 37, was it days or games last year? He missed all that time with it too. And I was reading a little bit about this morning as well over the Athletic, and it's like, ugh, like it's been 7 months. Ugh.
Yeah.
He in the article goes into this, he needs to get paid. All right. So you got to figure he's going to push as much as he can to play, but starting the season on the IL is not a death blow. It's not a good sign. And he's only single position eligible now. He's not dual position like he used to be. I've dropped him. He used to be in the second tier of second baseman. He's now in the third tier, and there's some concern with him. So I would not be reaching for Jorge Polanco at this point.
He'd have to really fall to me, and then I'd take a shot. It's just a knee, and like you said, 7 months of this. It's like, when are we going to get over this? And eventually, don't you just go under the knife, try to get back for the second half? That may be the case with Polanco. Brandon Nimmo, we've kind of been wavering and guessing as to his status throughout the week, knee and ankle injury. The Mets say they hope he's back this weekend, so that's probably something to watch up with the lineup news on the Mets. It would be great to then have him back for opening day. Jared Kelenic set to be in the lineup today for the Mariners. He's got that quad injury, but it sounds like he's okay, so the Mariners will stick him into the starting 9. Speaking of young outfielders, Ray, Will Benson, as noted earlier, he touched on Will Benson a couple of weeks back. I saw yesterday a double, a steal. He is now hitting .341, and he has 6 stolen bases. Got to be a starter for the Reds, right? I mean, the Reds got to give him the starting job in the outfield.
I think they have to give him the starting job in the outfield, correct? Now the question becomes if, when, possibly could Nick Senzel get healthy, what do they do then, right? Because they're basically, even when Joey Votto's good to go, he's going to play most days, right? So he'll probably be DH. So they lose that flexibility in the outfield. But I think Benson starts the year in the starting lineup. And then it's a matter of how well does he do and how do they factor in TJ Friedel and, Jake Fraley and Mr. Senzel?
If you believe Votto's DH, and I kind of do, does that mean Will Myers? Can we plan on him being first baseman? Pretty well be the guy for the Reds. And if he hits, he's at first base every day.
It's kind of what it seems like.
Yeah.
But again, I think he's another one of these players that's very likely to be dealt, right? Like if he does a good first half, they'll trade him to somebody or whatever. There's injuries in his background too, right? So you never know there. But I think that to me seems like the plan that the Reds have at the moment.
Benson's effort was last night against the Padres. Also in that game, Grant Ashcraft. All the attention's on Green and Lodolo, but Ashcraft has some prospect tag on his back of the jersey. 10 strikeouts in 6 innings last night against the Padres. But before you get too excited, I saw that lineup, and I don't think there was a regular in that entire Padres lineup. So it was a bunch of backups that he was getting. He still gets credit for the strikeouts, but wasn't facing the Tatises and Machados of the world in that Padres lineup. Okay, timeout for us. When we return, it is time for our weekly get-together with Rob Povia. It is time to do some drafting. We got a fun one for this Thursday. Our lunch special will be taking a look at pitchers who can reach new milestones. We're talking 15 wins for the first time in their career. How about a 1.20 whip, a 3.25 ERA, maybe 180 Ks, 20 saves. Once a guy's selected, Ray, me, Rob, we can't select him in any other category. So there is strategy at work here. We'll see which guys we are spotlighting to improve, to reach new levels of performance. We'll do it next with our weekly lunch special coming up on the Bettor Sports Network.
Washington Commander fans, it's time to rejoice. The day you've been waiting for seems like it's finally on the way. And you know what day I'm talking about. No, not the next time you have a parade down Constitution Avenue. That's still years away. But the day you get to say goodbye to the man who has owned that franchise since 1999. It's Daniel Snyder. You know it well because he's been the worst owner in sports in the 24 years he's owned that football team. That once proud franchise, the Washington Redskins, the Hogs, the championships, Doug Williams, Joe Gibbs. Now what you have left behind? Memories of Albert Hainsworth. How did that work out? Horrible free agent signings, not to mention the scandals. Just this past 18 months alone, the horrible reveal of the Commanders' team name when everybody knew who it was the day before. Oh, that Sean Taylor statue, that gimmick, that joke. How about the touchdown celebration of the mascot, the Tutty? That was horrible. You keep getting in your way, time and time again. The best thing you have for your fan base this offseason was hiring them an offensive coordinator. And now the later scandals, financial misconduct, all these things you got going on. Yet you want Roger Goodell in the NFL to look the other way while you negotiate yourselves a team on your terms. It don't work like that. Only person you really got on your side is Jerry Jones, and it's not going to be enough. So go ahead, Daniel Snyder, do the right thing. Sell the team, go on about your business. Don't worry about this no more. The fan base deserves better. You've done a lot to tear this situation down. It's just time to walk away. Don't try to negotiate your own terms. Do the right thing and give the Washington, D.C. natives, give the people inside the Capitol Beltway their team back. You can find more contents like this at Bettor Network on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.
Lunch Money, where we don't take your money, we make you money. Now back to Kyle Elfrink and Ray Flowers.
Little known fact, before Ray begins drafting, this is what he has cranking in the headphones. That song right there. Dirty Drafts Done Dirt Cheap. That is Ray Flowers' official theme song.
Good album. It's a good album.
Yeah. All of them are good. Good run of about 3 or 4 albums there. By AC/DC. A couple of quick items on the house cleaning. Speaking of drafts, coming up in about 40 minutes, it's our first annual BSN Fantasy Draft. That'll be a lot of fun. It's much different from a lot of drafts because you get to see the board as we talk about the board and visit with the experts. A lot of times you just hear about it. Oh, yeah, check out the board. This one you get to see. You get to watch. You get to see all the picks and everything. So should be a lot of fun there. That's going for 3 hours from 2 to 5. Later tonight, the Bettor cast will jump into the world of the Sweet 16, starting up at 6:30 Eastern. I think that game is Michigan State, K-State. So if you want to jump on the Bettor Sports app, you can follow along, enjoy all of the Sweet 16 action tonight. Chance for you to win some prizes, win some money that you can use in the Bettor Sports Marketplace. So do check out that again, 6:30 tonight. And then finally, speaking of that app, have you updated it? We've got a brand new update that is out right now. So do check it out. Make sure you've got the best and greatest streaming experience that you can find with BSN. And remind people as you're walking around town, hey, check out the Bettor Sports Network. Totally free. Absolutely free to catch us each and every day. Okay, with that taken care of, now let's start to draft. As we know, every Thursday right here on BSN on Lunch Money, we bring in Rob Povia of Fantasy Guru, and we do a little 5-round draft, the three of us. And we pick a different topic every week. Last week, we were looking at hitters that would make a jump forward, that would kind of reach new levels. I obviously won that draft. This week, I will be looking to defend my title. Ramon Laureano, 30 home runs. Book it, people. This week, guys, we're talking pitching. So we'll get to some of those standards in a bit that we're taking aim at. First off, Rob, well, maybe I should say, first off, we welcome in Mike Scott of the Houston Astros.
Nice.
Rob Povia, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing great, boys. Good afternoon. How are we?
I am doing well. We are talking pitching this week. Now we're looking for 5 different pitchers, 5 from Ray, 5 from Rob, 5 from me, that will reach new standards in their personal history in terms of ERA, WHIP, wins, saves, and strikeouts. Ray, the numbers you and I came up with, 3.25 ERA, a 1.20 WHIP, 15 victories, 20 saves, and 180 Ks. Did you find any of these difficult, Ray, to hunt down applicable names for this draft?
I did. I don't know if I should tell you guys. You might go to those categories, but I did.
Because I did too. I thought there were some tough ones here.
Yeah, I found a couple. It's like, oh man, I got too many guys to even worry about. But there's a couple of these 5 categories that I'm hoping to get them early.
Okay, Rob, you loved your team last week. Are you loving your pitching options going into the draft this week?
I do. There's been some categories that were tougher than others. I got them definitely higher on my priority list, but it's like we don't do enough drafts, right? But but if it's going to help the public, I'm here for it. Plus, the drafts we've been doing, and this is what I wanted to say, are they've seriously helped me out in my coin flip situations and my full league drafts.
Well, good. I'm glad we can help out. Hopefully, others are getting some help. Now, the order, as randomly determined, it was so random that Heather said, "Hey, what's the order?" And I said, let's go, I think, Rob, Kyle, Ray. Is that right? I think that's what I wrote down. Yeah, Rob, Kyle, Ray. So, Rob, since you have been helping us out for all these many weeks, I have given you another top draft pick in this get-together. We will go 5 rounds. And again, for everybody, if a name, and this name will not be mentioned because he's reached all the standards, I think. But if, for instance, Rob said Justin Verlander to win 15 games, obviously he's done that before. But if he said that Verlander is gone, he cannot be used in any other category. So as soon as a pitcher's name is used, he cannot be used in any other category. So yes, indeed, there is a strategy at work here. Rob, you've got this beautiful first pick. You get anybody you want in any category you want. Who's the guy and what's the reasoning?
I was really hopeful to get the first pick because the category I had most trouble with was the whip category. But this guy, I have the utmost confidence in, not as much as Nolan Ryan, but he's not eligible for this draft. I'm going to go with George Kirby for a whip.
See, Kyle, this is why I hate having the last pick. We can't have Rob.
No, Ray. Last week you complained that you were in the middle of the draft and Rob had the turn. This week I give you the term and you complain about that too.
We can't have Rob Povey on anymore. He makes good picks. I don't like it.
Is that the only guy you wrote down as a whip possibility?
No, but that was the right answer to the question.
Oh no, I've got a half dozen right answers here, Ray.
I cut Rob off. We should let Rob say something.
No. Here's the thing, Rob. Let me ask you this, because I find myself battling this: Kirby or Gilbert from the Mariners? Who do you like more?
I like Kirby more because of the walk rate. I mean, he narrowly missed 120 whip in his rookie season with 121 in 130 innings. I think there's no reason not to expect to maintain it, hopefully lower, below 120. The walk rate was 4.1%. And for a rookie, that's outstanding. And the hits, 135, slightly more than 1 an inning. He keeps his extra runners off the base path. And, I could have easily chosen him for ERA. He had a good expected numbers, 2.99 FIP, 3.32 Sierra, a 3.31 xERA. I think while the ERA projections are probably inflated for a second-year pitcher, the whip, it's a lock for under 20 with Kirby.
Okay. Ray, since you're complaining already, I don't want you to complain anymore.
Okay.
I'm going to leave you whoever you want as your second whip guy. I was going to go whip, but I'm actually looking at my board, and I want to go ERA here. Okay. I found this to also be tough. ERA was a little difficult.
Those are the
I found a guy who is entering his 7th season and has already made 145 starts. And everybody knows him. He'll be drafted in every draft this year. And I could not believe he's never gotten a 3.25 ERA. And I couldn't believe his career ERA is 4.3. Think about that. 150 games, he's got a 4.3 ERA. And I'm taking him for his first ever 3.25 or lower ERA this year. I'm going with Lucas Giolito of the Chicago White Sox, who I feel is way too good of a pitcher to have those kind of numbers. So I will wipe out him in the ERA category. His lowest ERA for a season, he's had 3.41, 3.48, and 3.53. He's gotten close. Last year, Ray, was a debacle. It was 4.90. His FIP was about 4, though. Mm-hmm. So hopefully we can get that down to 3.25, and I'll take Giolito.
Yeah, he definitely pitched better than the numbers suggested on the surface last year. So I like that selection there. I would have put him in a different category, but I like the selection.
Okay. Now, Ray, back-to-back picks. Rob, this is the point where you complain about being stuck at the end now because Ray gets back-to-back picks. Ray, you've got the whole world. The only 2 pitchers that have disappeared are Giolito and Ray. So hit me with something.
All right, I'm gonna be a winner here. When it comes to whip, we're going out west. We're talking not my Giants, unfortunately. We're talking the Dodgers, but it's Dustin May. Dustin May is going to have a great season this year. It may be 118 innings. I'm not saying he's going 165 or anything like that coming back from surgery, but he's a dominant arm. I'm going Ginger all the way here. Dustin May in the whip category.
Has he had 100 innings yet?
No.
In a season? Yeah, so that's why he kind of lands in there. We set a standard of if you've gotten below a 1.2 whip or a 3.25 ERA, if it occurred with like 50 innings, that doesn't count. You have to go over 100 innings. So understand, a lot of rookies are eligible, or young guys, I should say, are eligible to hit these honors. Ray, who's the follow-up? Where are you going for your next statistical milestone?
The next category that I'm going to ERA, which I agree with you, Kyle, was a difficult one. I'm going to go with a guy who's got a really boring name, but who's got a very interesting game. And though we looked at him and said he's fastball, he's added pitches to his pitch mix this offseason. People are getting really excited. Good returns thus far. Joe Ryan of the Twins will be the selection.
Joe Ryan. Is he the best pitcher on the Twins?
Yes. I think they've got a good group of arms. Kind of maybe a lot of 3s and 4s, right? Like I don't know if Joe Ryan's ever going to really be a 2 at the big league level. He could, but I think they got a lot of 3s and 4s. I think they have a good group, but they don't have standouts necessarily.
You know, I just may keep the Twins trend going. I might have another Twin pitcher who I've got listed in multiple categories. Early in his career, walks were really a problem, but he has shrunk that number. It's still not good. You'd like it to be low, because if you're going to get a whip at like 1.25 or lower, you can't be walking 3 guys every 9. And he's right about that range, or at least he was last year. So we got to see improvement, but I like the fact that he makes starts. His career best whip, if you look at he's pretty well been a regular the last 5 years. He's gone 1.59, then 1.31. His 1.15 was only in 50 innings. That was the strike year. So we've seen he can do it for 50 innings, but we haven't for 100. And then we had 1.23 in 2021, and we had 1.22 last year. We're going in the right direction here. So my first ever 1.20 whip or lower this year will go to Tyler Mahle of the Minnesota Twins. So back-to-back Twins there. And I also had Joe Ryan in a couple of other spots. So all 3 of us have knocked out our whip spot. 2 of us have knocked off our ERA spot. Are you going ERA or elsewhere here, Mr. Rob?
Yeah, I think I got to go ERA here just because it's the next best talent, young talent again on my list. And the way the draft's gone, I think it behooved me, because this was another difficult category. We only saw 20 innings for him. We talked about him having some lower back tightness in spring training before you had me on. It's being listed as precautionary. He could have started if it was a regular season game. I think it's good to ease him in because he's going to be this team's 5th starter. I'm going to go Hunter Brown here for ERA.
You think in 20 starts for Hunter Brown, Rob, at least? Or...
Slight under. I think I tab him for 18 because eventually Lance McCullers is going to be back. Certainly Hunter Brown's shown that he can come out of the pen and be dominant. He has the stuff to do it. He just brings that premium velocity and maintains it through games and the seasons. The fastball is plenty of carry and run, but when the Astros pitching coach Brent Storm had him add that curveball that just falls off the table, it was game over. He posted a 3.88 ERA in 51 AAA innings and a 2.55 in 106 innings for the Sugarland Space Cowboys. I had to get to that because that's just one of the greatest names in minor league baseball.
The Sugarland Space Cowboys. And it never stops down there. They're very proud of their NASA affiliation down there in Texas. You got the Astros, you got the Space Cowboys. It's on and on and on there. Okay, good pick. You got the Rockets even with the Houston on the NBA side. Okay, Rob, first pick of the 3rd round. Now it really opens up. We all of us have to get a guy to have his first 15-win season, another guy to get his first 20-save season, and another guy to get his first 180K season. What stat and what player are you going with, Rob?
I'm going to go back to the first one, win at least 15 games. And this is just a guy I fell in love with. I fell in love with this dude's slider when he struggled early on in his career and got relegated to the pen. Luckily, I stuck with him on my dynasty team, and it paid off. I'm going to go with Corbin Burns to get 15 wins this year.
Wow, I didn't even think Corbin Burns.
Kyle, come on, he was the number one target there.
Not my number one. I would have thought, man, he's had 15 wins. I will say, Ray, there's a lot of guys who you might think they've had a 15-win season, but they haven't. That was the easiest category, I think, Ray.
There, go look at the top 12 starting pitchers this year in ADP, and about half of them haven't won 15 games. Like it's true, and it goes to show you again. I talk about all the time why we should do something different than wins. Number one pitcher, according to most people this year, Corbin Burns, never won 15 games. Here we go.
He probably gets a lot of quality starts, though. I bet plenty of quality starts. I'm going to let wins sit out there. I'm pretty comfortable with my crew of wins, so I'm going to let that sit. I'll go to the strikeouts, and I'll probably take the name that everybody's thinking of. Let's just get it over with. Hunter Green, 180 strikeouts. I mean, what was it, 11.5 per 9 last? Now, I hope his arm stays on. I hope all these guys, their arm stays on. But I'm going to go with Hunter Green. Cincinnati Reds, just get it over with. I'm not in love with Hunter Green like a lot of people seem to be, but I think there's going to be strikeouts regardless. I'll be surprised if he doesn't get to 180 strikeouts. And that's even if he has 155 innings. I think he can be at 180 strikeouts. So I'll take Green to get those strikeouts here in 2023. Ray, will make one pick, your last one of the third round, and then we'll break for the fourth round. But what do you got as your final pick of this round?
Yeah, since I will telegraph, I'm not doing saves here, guys. I'm waiting, per our discussion earlier, Kyle, I'm waiting at the saves category.
Waiting on closers, yeah.
Yeah, right. So it's going to be either wins or strikeouts here, the next two. I'll go with the win category. And just to make a point, I'll take the guy that won the Cy Young Award last year, Sandy Alcantara. 14 victories was his highest total. He throws more innings than anybody else. Going to give him a chance to get that 15 this year.
I didn't like him for 15, Ray. I'm not, last year, the way he pitched, and he still couldn't get 15. I guess you could argue he could pitch a lot less well and stumble into 15. But it's like all those innings, Ray, and he only got 14 wins. I think that's a total indictment of the competition, where they stand in the NL East, but also kind of the lineup. And they're trying to make improvements. I'll give them credit. They brought in a bunch of guys. But I look at that Marlins team, Ray, and it's like there's a couple of guys that, okay, yeah, I get it, Jazz Chisholm, but then they have like 7 second basemen and like 4 first basemen. Like, I don't know where all these guys are going to fit for the Marlins offense.
Yeah, well, Garrett Cole won 13 games last year, man. Corbin Burns has never gotten there. It's like, wins stink as a category. Yeah. They stink. I'm take a guy that throws the innings. There are other guys on this list that I easily could have turned to. I was debating. You'll probably take the guy, and then I'll let you know that he was my number 2 option. But I'm going with Sandy Alcantara.
Yeah, and it's kind of caveman thinking. But if I'm aiming just for wins, give me innings and give me a good offense for my pitcher. That's kind of the generic way of instead of all the hundreds of advanced analytics to predict who's going to get wins, just give me a guy who eats up innings and he's got a good offense. Alcantara gets the innings. But I don't know about the offense there with the Marlins. Okay, 3 of the 5 picks are in for Rob, Ray, and myself. We've got picks 4 and 5 coming up. Rob still needs saves and strikeouts. I still need saves and wins. Ray still needs saves and strikeouts. We'll see who those mystery names are next as we continue our lunch special draft here on Lunch Money on BSN.
Let's talk a little NBA, because I found it interesting yesterday with those that are now all of a sudden going to be critical of Nikola Jokic and what he's accomplishing this year for the Denver Nuggets, as Denver is the top seed in the Western Conference right now. They've won 44 games so far during the course of the NBA regular season, and Nikola Jokic is well on his way to being a 3 straight time NBA MVP in the regular season. He's been remarkable. He's averaging a triple-double, nearly 25 points per game, over 11 rebounds a game, and 10 assists per game. His remarkable accomplishments have really poo-pooed or knocked down the idea of voter fatigue, which was a huge part of the conversation coming into the NBA regular season, thinking that there have only been 3 men, Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, Larry Bird, that have ever won 3 consecutive NBA regular seasons. Mind you, you could never give that to Nikola Jokic because think about the historical ramifications it would be in the NBA. LeBron's never done it. Michael's never done it. How could Nikola Jokic do it? And then you get this. And it's the case of the hot take world that we're in, or I need something to say, or let's think of a different angle to approach a topic. But the idea that Nikola Jokic is a stat padder is complete and utter nonsense. I mean, you've had one person after another come out saying Nikola Jokic is not looking at his stat line during the course of an NBA game. He's not focused in on whether or not where his rebounds are, where his assists are in any particular game. He's having an historic season. He's shooting nearly 64% from the floor. He is being economical in the way that he's going about his business offensively. He's distributing the basketball. He's also been a willing rebounder as well. Why be critical of something that we're watching, which is historic? We're seeing him do stuff that no other NBA player has ever been able to go out there and accomplish. So as we go and look at Jokic, and he is going to be the MVP. It's not going to be Joel Embiid with the Philadelphia 76ers. It's not going to be anybody else that you want to throw out there. As we watch the brilliance of the Denver Nuggets, and everyone looks at the Western Conference and wants to look at teams like the Phoenix Suns if Kevin Durant is healthy, or the Los Angeles Clippers, or the Sacramento Kings, or, let's be honest, the very, very immature Memphis Grizzlies, and everybody wants to pick anybody else but the Denver Nuggets to come out of that West and get to themselves to the NBA Finals, even throwing the Golden State Warriors into the equation as the defending NBA champs. Well, I think we have to have a lot of respect for what Denver's been able to do this regular season and a healthy respect of going into the postseason. And I also think we have to have a respect of what Nikola Jokic is accomplishing as well, and not be critical just for the sake of being critical. That, to me, is utterly nonsense. For more content like this, check out Bettor Network at TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and also on YouTube.
Yes. Enjoyment. Drafting. It is the high holy days of the preseason. We got about a 7-day run up to the start of next week. Now, Rob, I haven't even thought about next Thursday, but next Thursday at this time, we will be having opening day. Will there be anything special you do on opening day? Is it, are you even going to be able to, some people have to work. I get that. Are you going to be able to enjoy a week from today with all the baseball going on in the afternoon?
I certainly will. I'm going to be out at Citi Field for opening day. It's been a tradition that I've had ever since the park opened. So I'll be enjoying opening day. It's always weird when your team doesn't, have their home opener on opening day, but it's a little treat after you get the beginning of the season. So, but in terms of on opening day, I'm going to be working hard to get out the first weekly preview. I like to cover the first 4 days because they're important. Get out to that early jump.
For your Citi Field opening day, is it an all-day event? I mean, are you there like parking the car and getting the grill going at like 8 a.m. or how do you like to set that up?
I usually take the train in. It's the best way to go from Jersey to New York. And I'll go, maybe an hour before game time or what have you. But I always like to bring someone that has never either been to Citi Field or has never been to a professional ball game and show them opening day.
Oh, well, I've been to a pro ball game, but and I've been to Citi Field. Ray and I might have both been at Citi Field at the same time for our only visit, but there was no game, Ray. We were like, what was that, an NFBC draft at Citi Field?
Jeez, yeah, FSGA had an event out there. We went to, you weren't there. We went to we saw batting practice. We were down on the field. We got to see Jorge Blanco.
No, I wasn't there for that.
Yeah, so I've been there. I actually didn't go there the time you went. I went a different time. It was FSGA. We had to go on the field for batting practice. We had an area out in the out right field is kind of where we ended up sitting. I sat there with Howard Bender. But yeah, I've been there. But again, it's been 5-6 years probably since that was.
Yeah. I have been to Shea, Rob. I think I was there the second to last year of Shea, and I was sitting under the overhang. So every pop-up, every fly ball, forget about seeing that. You just kind of had to watch the fielders where they would move. Old-fashioned ballparks with overhangs where you couldn't see stuff. Okay, what we got going on today is a 3-man, 5-round draft. We're doing this every Thursday. We call it our lunch special. Today, we are talking pitchers. All 5 picks will be hurlers. and we got to fill 5 different categories with our selections. So we're making a call on a guy who will win his first season of 15 games. We got a separate guy who will have his first season of under a 1.2 whip, first season of under a 3.25 ERA, first season of at least 180 Ks, and their first season of 20 saves. Ray, you went whip, Dustin May. You went ERA, Joe Ryan. You went wins, Sandy Alcantara. Where do you go next?
I want to go with the name for a pitcher I love, a pitcher who's already been mentioned earlier on the broadcast here as we were 3 of us are talking. But I'm going to go with a guy that I've highlighted as a potential breakout. Everyone's highlighted as a potential breakout, and a guy that Rob Povia loves. Give me Randy Johnson, a.k.a. Nick Lodolo.
Nice Nick Lodolo. Strikeouts, right? Not saves.
Strikeouts. Yep, you're correct.
Although I could see him in the bullpen racking up 45 saves. He'd be a fun guy, but much more valuable out of the rotation. Who's the better bet, Rob, for 180? I took Hunter Green. He takes Nick Lodolo. You like Lodolo to get to 180 more?
I do like Lodolo to get to the 180 more. I mean, I had him also in the ERA category because that, a little sneaky based on, I'm sorry, in the whip category. As seeing that he got a 1.31, I could see that creep down to 120, but the Ks, it's no brainer. I mean, he's just with the stuff that he brings, he's that hidden gem behind Hunter Green.
Okay. I'm going to take saves with my next pick. I'm going to take the guy who seems to be the slam dunk. I just want to get this guy taken because I think some of the other guys you're guesstimating on when they get the job or if they get the job. This guy has the job and has the numbers. Let me read the numbers. Career 2.03 ERA, career 1.07 whip, career 14.5 K rate. But he only has a season high of 15 saves in any year. I'll go with Devin Williams of the Milwaukee Brewers to be my guy to get 20 saves for the first time. So yank him off the board. I think his arm may fall off. That'd be the only thing that would keep him from 20 saves because I think he's Ray. That's a guy I look at and it's like Iglesias has gone down, Diaz has gone down. There's your next big name to go down because I just don't think he can keep doing what he's doing with the pitches he throws.
2 top 5 starting pitchers in fantasy have never won 15 games, and a top 5 reliever has never saved 20. That's where we're at. It's pretty
You want to get rid of wins and saves. Ray wants to change the whole layout of fantasy baseball. Okay, Rob, you've got picks 4 and 5. This will be it for your team. You need saves and you need you have victories. Saves and strikeouts for you.
This one's going to be a bit of a gamble, but I'm going to go with the Ks first and save saves for last. Save saves. Jesus, that's redundant. But I'm going to go with Logan Gilbert. You mentioned him earlier when we were talking about George Kirby. I'm going to get both Seattle young arms. His K rate dried up a bit in 2022 to a league average-ish 22.7% mark. However, he still amassed 174 Ks and 185 plus innings in his second season with 302 in both of his seasons. It's hard to imagine him not getting to at least 180. Zips has him projected at 164. Steamer has him at 174. He's right there. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Gilbert.
Okay, Logan Gilbert is the call. Is there an explanation, Ray, when the K rate falls like that? Because that was a guy we said going into last year, he'll be 9.5 or 10 per 9, and it was under 9. Is it just a fluke? Or is it just a randomness thing with Logan Gilbert?
He's the guy, by the way, that I was going to pick. He was my second choice for the strikeouts. His strikeout rate went down. His K rate went down to about the league average. So I think that this year he's going to. He's been working diligently. He's adding pitches and all that. So I think he could potentially gain some of back what he lost. But I think legitimately he's still got a head in the count. It's just everything kind of pulled back just a little bit. It was just that little, kind of everything. CSW was down a little bit. The swinging strike rate was down a little bit. So I think it was just a little bit of, he's in the 8.5 to 9.5 zone. He's strikeout inning arm, right? And I just think last year was the lower end of that.
Okay, saves, Rob, your final selection. I hope you hit me with a Met here. Maybe you know who's going to close games for the Mets this year. You got any idea?
Nobody knows that. He might not even be on the team yet. But just to get on my soapbox for a second, I loathe the RP position and spend just little time
just
on
like
it in my
Ray.
leagues.
Here we go again.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, Rob, and I get that. So I ask you, in leagues with 9 pitchers, why would you even draft one? Why not just go all starting pitchers, punt saves on draft day, and then throughout the season go find a guy on saves? But no one ever says that. I get it. You hate save. Don't draft it then. Go out and get a bunch of starters and kill everybody there.
Right. You're almost forced to grabbing a guy earlier than you think of. I just think if you want to save fantasy baseball and get more people playing, you really need to go team bullpens, or even better yet, like Ray said, team pitching. I'm so done with tracking pitchers and their health and their freaking roles.
Says the guy who has to write a column every week.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Okay, who is your guy for saves? First 20 save season will go to this man. Who is it?
He looked really good pitching for Team USA. He's projected for 31 this year. I'm going to go with David Bednar.
David Bednar. Does he stay with the Pirates, though, Rob?
That's the risk. I could have easily went with your boy Hazley. He's got a higher ADP, but I just see that there's other competition in that pen, and that gets me worried. Bednar, at least for now, to start the season, has zero competition, but the risk is, he gets traded to a team to set up.
Okay. Kirby, Brown, Burns, Gilbert, Bednar. Pretty strong. Very nice. I got to get wins. As both these guys said, there's a lot of dudes I can pick. A lot of directions to go. Now, if you caught yesterday's show, my lunch hunch was that this guy would lead baseball at plus 1,800 to get wins. Lead baseball in victories. I probably should stay consistent, but I'm not. I'm not going to stay consistent. I got another guy, Ray. I just need 15. I just need 15.
Okay.
Yasmin's pretty old. I could see some kind of injury. Instead, and I got 2 guys here. I've got 3 good names. I'm not going to go Gausman. I'm leaving him out there.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Dylan Cease for 15 wins.
Yeah.
It was him or Zach Gallen. Who should I have gone, Rob? Gallen or Cease? I'm going with Dylan Cease.
I love Cease a lot, but he always battles that high walk rate, and you eventually think it's got to catch up to him eventually. And some of the projections for this season have shown that. I like Dylan Cease. I think it's a fine pick. You can't go wrong. I have him right neck and neck with Zach Gallen. I do like the talent from Zach Gallen, and I also called some of his high school games, so I have a little affection for him.
I bet he didn't have trouble winning high school games, did he? Probably has more high school wins in a single month than he does in the major leagues. Okay, so my team is Giolito, Molly, Green, Devin Williams, and then Dylan Cease. Ray, you've got the final selection, and it will be in the bullpen. We're going to have to name somebody here for 20 saves, so who is it?
We could go Andres Munoz. We could go Johan Duran. I could go Alexis Diaz, who I really like this year, but I already have Nick Lodolo, so it's like, do I take 2 Reds? So I'm going to go kind of chalk here. It's another guy that a lot of people look at as a top 10 reliever this year. He only did it for half a season last year. This is for you, Phil Backert. Give me Felix Bautista.
Felix Bautista. I'm a little turned off, Ray, by the spring where he just has not been right for now a month, it sounds like.
And Phil talked about this. We did a podcast over at fantasyguru.com. You can check it out. And Phil said, look, we love this guy's arm, but if we're being legitimate about this, for 8 years, the guy couldn't throw strikes. So it is definitely something to think about with that slow start, given the fact there was also a little bit of injury induction there.
Ray has Dustin May for whip, Joe Ryan ERA, Alcantara for victories, Lodolo for strikeouts, and Felix Bautista for saves. Rob, were there any names that you really liked in one of those categories that we didn't hear this afternoon in the draft?
For wins, I mean, you got to like Shane McClanahan. You just question maybe durability there to get to 15 wins. Your point about Sandy Alcantara is spot on. It goes to show how hard it is to win 15 games in this day and age in baseball. We mentioned Dustin May, but Jordan Montgomery is a sneaky name for ERA as well, going with an older guy.
Yeah. Ray, any names left on your list?
Yeah, I had Jordan Montgomery on my list. I had Reed Detmers for whip, for wins, Christian Javier. And then for strikeouts, I'm surprised we didn't get Kodai Senga. Come on, Rob, go with your guy.
I thought that was cheating. I was trying to do it straight.
Yeah, he's thrown over 100 innings of pro ball, Ray. Nice try.
Okay.
Nice try. I had 2 wild cards in 180 Ks. Jeffrey Springs with Tampa. Of course, I don't know if he's going to get the innings. And the other guy, I think, totally, he's my Laureano. I didn't draft him. But JT Brubaker of the Pirates. Maybe that could be 180 Ks.
Wow.
That was about the stretch, I think. Whip was tough. I ended up with names like Bailey Ober, Andrew Heaney, Dean Kramer, even Steven Matz. Steven Matz has some awful whips. I couldn't believe how bad they were. But he's got a defense, and if he could stay healthy, maybe he could get 1-2-0. Okay, draft is in the books. I think we'll post that on Twitter. Rob, a pleasure. I don't know if we're going to do this again. Who knows? But this has been a blast. We'll for sure bring you on to talk some baseball. No doubt about that. But thanks for joining us every Thursday to do these drafts. It was a great deal of fun, and you were the perfect guy to jump in for a good amount of time.
That's very kind, Kyle. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's been a blast for me. And like I said, it's helped me in my drafts. I hope it's helped the viewers here at Bettor Sports Network.
Yeah, I think one thing we'll maybe try to plan if you're available is every week you get that column out, maybe the following Monday. We'll take a look ahead to what's coming up in the week for fantasy baseballers out there. Rob Povia, Fantasy Guru. Make sure to follow his work at FG. What about Twitter, Rob? You got a spot where we can hunt you down?
Yep, at Rob_Povia, and it'll come up as Pove because that's what all my friends call me.
Pove. Okay, well, we'll term ourselves your friends. Have a good one, Pove. We'll talk to you soon, okay? Rob Povia helping us out a ton on Thursdays. We've got just a couple of minutes left in the show. Again, BSN Fantasy Baseball Draft is just around the corner. Before we go there, Ray, injury to Rhys Hoskins to tell the people about.
Yeah, really bad one. Apparently, I haven't seen a video of it yet, but apparently he was carted off the field. He injured his knee trying to catch a ground ball. So non-contact injury, we know when that happens, it's usually very bad news. So fingers crossed it isn't, but a lot of concern right now with Rhys Hoskins.
Yeah, it may not be, but it's kind of trending in that direction. So we'll let you know on Hoskins. Okay, to finish things off, we have our dessert to go. I don't know how many people have been following this, but Paris, or France, I should say, is doing a big pension change, which, you know, newsflash, Parisians and French people, the whole world does like age 64 as retirement age. They've been 62 forever. And they're throwing a massive fit. Now I get it. The president is ramroding this thing through. I think he just said it's 64. He didn't even go through a vote. So I get being angry, but everybody's going on strike over this thing. That is causing trash to pile up in Paris. So Heather Klein, if you can flash a couple photos up here, Ray. This is not the Paris that they show whenever you go to Notre Dame.
That kind of looks like New York at 2 a.m.
Yeah. New York does do that. You're totally right when you're walking around the streets at like midnight. But they got that stuff going on everywhere pretty well. Doesn't matter where you go. There's trash piling up. Look at that one. It looks like somebody left the office in a hurry.
Yeah.
That's wild. So I've actually got neighbors who are in Paris right now, and I can't wait to talk to them about it. Was it really like this everywhere, or are these just random photos? Well, anyway. Hopefully the City of Light can return to being full of light, not garbage at some point. That will do it for us. Again, BSN Fantasy Baseball Draft is next. Ray and I are back tomorrow at 12 Eastern. Thanks to Heather Klein and Josh Winchester. We'll see you around the bend right here on BSN.